If your child does this with their eyes when you stop playing with them, it might be one of 10 early signs of autism
that you can notice between 18 months and 2.5 years of age.
Now, these signs are so subtle that most parents and even some health
professionals miss them completely. As a pediatric occupational therapist,
I work with families navigating these every day.
So today I'm going to walk you through all 10 signs and show you how to check for each one at home.
Because honestly, catching these signs early can be absolutely life-changing for your child's development. So what's this thing that they do with their eyes? Well, it all comes down to how your child uses eye contact to communicate with you. And the best way to see this is during play. So here's a quick test that you can try at home. The next time you're playing with your toddler, grab their favorite car or ball and get on the floor. Then just start pushing the ball or car back and forth between you both. Then, when it's your turn to push it back, don't. Just stop and watch what happens. Your child should look at the car for a second, then look up at your face as if to say, "Hey, why did you stop? Push it again." They might even say, "Again," or "More car," while looking at you. And that's exactly what we want to see. They're looking up at you to get your attention and tell you what they want. Essentially, they're using their eyes to communicate with you. But if your child gets upset that the game has stopped and they just keep staring at the car without looking up for you for help, that's concerning because they're not using eye contact to connect with you and get the game going again. And this is important because by 18 months of age, your child should be using eye contact to communicate with you all the time. In fact, they'll use it to communicate 3 key things. First, to share their excitement with you, like, "Look how amazing this is." Second, to express their feelings, whether that's pure joy or complete disgust at those mushy peas. And third, to ask for help or request things they want, like, "Can you push the car back to me?" So if you notice that your child isn't using eye contact to communicate these things, then that's sign number 1. The second subtle sign of autism. Now, before I share the next sign, I want to stress that seeing one or even a few of these signs in your child doesn't mean that they have autism, so please don't stress. The purpose of this video is to simply highlight some behaviors that might be worth discussing with your pediatrician or allied health professional if you have concerns about your child's development. And then they can help you figure out if any further steps are needed. So honestly, please don't stress. Just jot down anything that feels familiar and bring it up at your little one's next appointment. Okay, now the second sign involves how your little one shares their world with you. And here's what I want you to try. Get one of your child's favorite toys, let's say it's the same little car, and then show it to them and say, "Look, it's your car." Then place the car across the room just out of their reach and ask, "Where's your car?" What you want to see is your child point to the car and then look back at you to make sure that you're looking at where they're pointing. It's like they're saying, "Can you see what I'm pointing at?" But if your child looks at the car and maybe they even walk towards it, but they don't look back at you, or they point at the car but they don't look back to check that you're actually paying attention to what they're showing you, then they're missing that crucial element of sharing their interest with you. And that's our second sign. Now, pointing is just one of many gestures your toddler should be using to tell you what they want and how they're feeling. For example, you might see them holding their arms up when they want to be picked up, waving hello or goodbye when someone arrives or leaves, clapping their hands during a song, shaking their head for yes or no, holding their hands out to say stop, waving their fingers towards their body to say come, and of course, pointing at something that's out of reach. If you notice that your child rarely uses these gestures, or you're having to constantly remind them, like you're always saying, wave bye-bye or clap your hands, then that's another sign to pay attention to. In addition to using gestures, it's also equally important that your little one understands and responds to your gestures and points. So here's how you can test this one at home. Try pointing across the room to something interesting, like a toy or a dog outside, and say, "Wow, look at that." Your toddler should look in the direction that you're pointing to see what you're trying to show them. They shouldn't look at your hand or your arm. Another way you can test this out is by just looking at how your little one responds when you use gestures throughout the day. So for example, when you wave, do they wave back? When you smile at them, do they smile back? And when you reach your arms out for that hug, do they respond by walking over to you to get that cuddle? If you find that your child responds to your gestures, then that's fantastic. But if they don't, then it's concern, and that's sign number 4. Now, while we're on the topic of responding, something else to pay attention to is whether your toddler consistently responds when you call their name. To test this one, here's what you want to do. Using a calm voice, call your child's name while they're playing or focused on something else. Then wait a moment, maybe 7 to 10 seconds, just to give them a chance to process and respond. And if they don't respond, call their name again using the same tone. If you still don't have a response after that brief pause, try one more time. Now, what you should notice is by the second or third attempt, they stop or pause what they're doing and look in your direction as if to say, "Yes, you called me?" This acknowledgement should happen every time you call their name. It might not be on the first call because, let's face it, toddlers can get pretty absorbed in what they're doing, but you should definitely get a response by the second or third time. Now, if you've noticed that your child doesn't respond to their name, even after you've called them 3 times, and this happens repeatedly throughout the day, the first thing you should do is get their hearing checked. But if their hearing is fine and they're still not consistently responding when you call their name, then that's sign number 5. The 6th subtle sign of autism. Okay, now let's talk about their language skills, because this ties into everything we've been discussing about communication. By 18 months of age, your little one should have 3 or more words besides mama or dada that they use on their own. So not just when you ask them to repeat something. For example, when they see a ball, they might spontaneously say ball while pointing to it. They should also understand and follow simple one-step instructions without you needing to point or gesture. So if you were to say, "Get me your shoes," or "Bring me your cup," they should understand what you mean and do it without you needing to point to the shoes or reach for their cup. By 2 years of age, they should have 20 to 50 words, and they should also be starting to put 2 words together. For example, instead of just saying apple, they might now say more apple, or instead of just saying dog, they might say big dog. Something else that you should notice is that when your little one is talking to you, whether that's using real words or just babbling nonsense, it feels like they're having a real conversation with you. So their tone will go up and down, like they're asking you a question or telling you something exciting, and they'll pause when you talk to them and then babble back when it's their turn. So if you find that your child has fewer words than expected for their age, or it doesn't really feel like they're trying to have a conversation with you, then that's a potential sign that their language development might be delayed, and definitely something that you want to raise with your little one's doctor. Now, speaking of supporting language development, one thing that can genuinely make a difference is the words we use as parents. And sometimes in the heat of the moment, when you're trying to get out the door or your toddler is having a meltdown, you might say phrases like, "Because I said so," "Use your words," or "Calm down." Now, this is completely understandable when you're stretched so thin. But here's the thing. While these phrases might stop the behavior in the moment, they can actually hinder your child's communication and emotional development in the long run. But here's the good news. Some really small changes in how you respond can make a real difference. That's why I've created a free guide covering 8 common phrases we all use, myself included, and simple alternatives that actually support your child's development. And you can download it by using the link in the description below. All right, let's move on to the 7th sign. With the 7th subtle sign of autism is all about how your child shares their excitements and discoveries with you. Now, this one you can't really test. You just need to watch for it during your day. When your toddler finds something fascinating, maybe it's a bug outside or a toy that they're really excited about, pay attention to what they do next. Ideally, they should pick it up, walk over to you, hold it up towards your face, and look directly at you as if to say, "Look at this amazing thing I found. Isn't it the coolest thing ever?" They might even say, "Look, mama," or "Look, dada." Now, this isn't the same as your little one giving you something because they need help opening it or they want you to fix it. In this situation, they're not showing you because they need something from you. They just want to share that pure moment of joy and excitement with you. If, on the other hand, your child finds that interesting bug or that really cool toy and they either just play with it by themselves or they drop it in your lap and immediately walk away without making eye contact or waiting to see your reaction, then they're missing that crucial desire to share their joy with you. And that's another subtle sign to be aware of. This brings us to our 8th sign, which is about how your little one plays. Now, up until 18 months of age, your little one's play was all about exploration. They'd push buttons, bang toys together, move things back and forth, and put absolutely everything in their mouth. But between 18 months and 2 years of age, something really exciting happens. Well, I think it is exciting, and that is they start pretending their toys are real. So suddenly, Dolly isn't just a toy anymore. She's hungry and needs to be fed. Teddy Bear is tired and absolutely must go to bed. Those little cars are making vroom vroom sounds as your child pushes them around the living room. The dinosaurs start roaring during epic battles, and your toddler becomes a master chef in their pretend kitchen, whipping up a feast while talking on their toy phone. Now, to check if your child is hitting this milestone, simply watch them while they're playing. So when they're playing with their dolls, teddies, or animals, are they pretending to feed them, comb their hair, put them to bed, have a pretend conversation, or create little scenarios? And when they're playing with their cars, are their cars making vroom vroom sounds as they're driving them to places? Or are they wanting to have tea parties with you or cooking you an elaborate meal in their kitchen? If they are, that's exactly what you want to see. But if you notice that your child is playing with their toys in very literal, repetitive ways, so for example, instead of pretending to drive the car and making vroom vroom sounds, they're just spinning the wheels over and over, or instead of feeding the doll, they're just moving around without any storyline, or their play consists of lining up toys in perfect rows, then that indicates that they're missing that pretend play element, and this is sign number 8. Another thing to look out for is whether your little one copies your actions. Now, this skill typically starts around 12 months of age, and by 2 years of age, your child should become your little shadow, copying almost everything you do. For example, when you brush your teeth, your little one will want to brush theirs too. When you comb your hair, they'll grab their brush and try to comb theirs too. When you clap during a song, they'll immediately join in. And when you wave goodbye to someone, they'll wave too. Now, I know this constant copying can be exhausting at times, especially when you're running late and you just want to brush your hair without your toddler insisting that they need to brush yours and theirs, and probably the dog's too. But here's why this matters so much. Watching and copying what you do is actually how your child learns to communicate, engage with others, and master important life skills like getting dressed and eating properly. So today, just take notes of what your little one does when you're doing something. Do they immediately want to copy what you're doing, or do they just watch you without joining in? If they tend to do the latter and rarely copy your actions, even simple ones like clapping or waving, then that is a concern, and it's sign number 9. This next sign has to do with how your child moves their body. Specifically, if they do the same movements over and over, multiple times throughout the day. Now, these are often called stimming behaviors or self-stimulating behaviors, and some repetitive movements that you might watch out for or see include things like flaring of their fingers repeatedly, so that's doing this, doing finger circles over and over, waving their fingers in front of their eyes to watch how that light changes, waving their hands at their side, shaking their head back and forth or side to side, not because they're trying to say yes or no, but more because it feels enjoyable or is calming for them. Rocking their whole body back and forth over and over, spinning around in circles, or walking on their toes most of the time. Now, something to keep in mind is that it is completely normal for toddlers to experiment with different movements, and you might notice that your little one does these behaviors for a few days and then they stop. This is totally fine and nothing to worry about. But if you notice that your little one continues to do these repetitive movements and actions daily over weeks or months, and it almost becomes like their preferred form of play, then that's another potential sign worth discussing. Now, after going through those signs, you might be thinking about other unusual toddler behaviors your toddler is doing that you're a little concerned about. So here's the good news. Most of these quirky toddler behaviors that keep us up at night are actually completely normal parts of development. And in this video, I break down 5 toddler behaviors that stress parents out unnecessarily, explain exactly why kids do them, and at which point you might actually want to seek some guidance. So if your toddler is doing something that has you second-guessing your parenting, or lying awake at night wondering if you should be concerned, or you just want to be prepared, then make sure you check this video out.